Good afternoon. Today we're going to take a look at a product called iDocuments and how iDocuments can save a company hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours over the course of a year in processing AP invoices, sales orders, and other types of documents. So let's start with a quick overview. iDocuments has three main functions currently, and that's the ability to take a purchase order, a customer PO that's sent to you in a PDF format. If you submit it into iDocuments, it'll then take that PDF and it will convert it into a sales order inside of SAP Business One. Now, the one that we're going to look at today is called, our purchase to AP scenario. And this is where a supplier submits an invoice and we run it through iDocuments. That PDF invoice is not only converted and put as an AP invoice in SAP, but it also will do a three-way match against a purchase order and the goods receipt. The third functionality or feature of iDocuments is the ability to do personal employee expense report and expense report management. And so expense reports can be saved up until they're ready to be submitted into Business One for approval, and iDocuments can handle all of that. So we're going to do a unique recording on each one of these, but we're going to start with the purchase order to AP process. So to set the stage, what I've got is I had created a purchase order. And on my purchase order, you can see that the status is closed. And if we look at the relationship map, we've got a purchase order that was received. Now, what I don't have is I don't have the AP invoice. And so for today's demonstration, what we're going to do is we're going to send that AP invoice into iDocuments and see how it can take that PDF, convert it into an AP invoice in SAP, but not only that, also do a three-way match. So let's grab our email here. And before we send this in to iDocuments, let's just take a quick peek at the invoice. You can see here from Action Pacific Solutions, PO 1334. Now, what I did to set this up for today's demonstration is I told iDocuments that this is our first time dealing with this supplier. That means we're going to have some training to do, some machine learning is going to happen behind the scenes. So let's go ahead and let's send in our invoice into iDocuments. Now I'm going to give it a couple of seconds here for the OCR engine to run. It cycles through about every 60 seconds. It kicks in and it looks for any new receipts into iDocuments. Now, while we're waiting for that, this is my iDocuments control panel, if you will, or cockpit, where I can see any pending tasks I have, things that I need to submit, some purchase expenses. I have some intelligent documents pending. That's where the machine learning and the artificial intelligence takes place. So I'm going to refresh my dashboard here. And now you can see we've got two documents sitting in here that's waiting to be trained. So let's go into our training. And here's the document we just sent for our PO 1334. And it requires training. So this is the first step. You would only need to do this once with each one of your suppliers. And the reason you need to do this with each supplier is because each supplier has a different PO form. Now, what this is, or a AP invoice form. Now, what this has done is you can see that the first stab at this is actually pretty darn good. It was able to peel off all of this data here and put it in the appropriate fields. So the one that's missing is the invoice date. So what I need to do is I need to find a date here. I'll click that, and that'll bring that into my system. Now, this date field looks like it's too small of a field or for whatever reason. So what we'll do in this case here is let's just put in today's date. There we go. So that's really the only field we had to do. Now, let's just say that there was no order number here. iDocuments couldn't figure out where to pull the order number from. Well, what I can do is I can highlight the field over in my PDF here, I can just simply click the box that has the data in it that I want iDocuments to memorize and use. And now you can see from this point forward, every time I receive an AP invoice from APS, it knows now where to go get the order number, as well as all of the other pieces of information. The tax rate is another field down here that wasn't selected. So what we can do is, again, we can try to find the field we're looking for, click, and then return a tax rate. And we're done. We have now trained iDocuments to work with this supplier's invoices. And that was pretty easy. So what we'll do is we're now going to progress the document. Now we'll progress it, and what we'll do here is it's now requiring us to review this and approve it. And so the training we just did really is a one-time thing. It only has to happen once with that supplier. Or if the supplier changes their AP invoice form, of course, you'll have to retrain it. To approve it, let's drill down into our document here. And now again, we can see the result. We can see our PDF on the right and how it pulled everything off on the left. And if there's ever an issue or if we need to change anything, you know, we can do that too. Even though we're approving this, if I need to go down to the line item and maybe I want to change a tax code or something of that sort, I have the ability to do that because we are in the final approval screen. The other thing that's nice about iDocuments is, you know, what if you're operating in multiple branches? You know, this is also another nice feature where this supports your branches and as well as any user-defined fields. So we're all set. We're going to go ahead and we're going to submit our AP invoice. Now it's telling me here the document date is required, a due date is required. So if we go to the header, let's go ahead and do that. And again, it's going to begin to learn this as we do this. So we're going to put in a document date and a due date, feed that in here, and let's now submit it for approval. And now what we've done is we've trained iDocuments to work with that supplier's invoices. Now, it may come up again. We may need to retrain it once or twice to get the dates worked out and everything else. But then once that's done, then it's extremely smooth and it just flies on by. Now that we've approved that AP invoice, even though we had to train it for the very first time, we've gone through an approval process. So the next time we get an invoice from this supplier, what's going to happen is in our dashboard, all we'll see here is a purchase invoice scan to approve. And we simply approve it and we're off and running. So we're able to cut down our AP processing costs or time substantially. So let's go into SAP Business One. And now let's take a look. Let's open up accounts payable. Let's go into our AP invoices here. Now I'm going to wait just a minute. I'm going to wait for the iDocuments service to run. I want to make sure I leave ample amount of time, usually about 60 seconds. So this looks good. Now what we'll do is let's bring up our last AP. So here's the AP record. We see the purchase order 1334 down here in the reference. And if we look at the relationship map, what we see is a three-way match. And so what iDocuments did is it brought that AP in and it found the purchase order and the goods receipt and automatically matched those for us. Now, a couple of other nice features about this is that iDocuments can also automatically load in the PDF, either in the attachments field or over here in some user-defined fields. So that's a feature that can be turned on or off with iDocuments. But that's the purchase order to AP process. And we threw in some training there, first time with that supplier. Now let's go back into iDocuments for a moment and let's show some more functionality. So I'm going to log out. Now you have different users will have different access rights within iDocuments. So we're going to log in as a person who all they need to do is create purchase orders. I'm a buyer. I'm out in the field quite a bit. I don't have an SAP Business One license, but I need to purchase something. I need to purchase some bar stock for a job that I'm on. So one of the cool features here, of course, is that you're able to come into the iDocuments webpage and actually place not only purchase orders, but I could place purchase requests, purchase quotes. I can do goods receipts, all of those things, which would, whatever that functionality is that you want to turn on, you're able to do that. So let's keep filling out our purchase order. This is going to be an item type purchase. Let's go ahead and put in our document date. Let's go ahead and put in a delivery date. And then we'll put in where we want these goods received. We want these received to my location on Norton Street. Here we go. Now we've got everything set up on the header. Now at the line item level, what I need is some bar stock. So as I begin to key in either the item ID or part of the description, it automatically finds those items. And in this case here, the last time I bought these, they were 99 bucks a piece, and I only need one of these. So now what we've done here is we have created a purchase order with one or, again, multiple line items that we're going to go ahead and we're going to submit for approval. And we're doing this without an SAP Business One license. And so now we can see that our purchase order here was submitted, but it hasn't been approved yet. And so we need to approve that purchase order. Now, my manager is going to get an email letting him or her know, hey, Mike just entered a purchase order, it requires your approval. So we're going to log out and we're going to log in as the manager. We're going to log in as the approver. So let's log in as the approving user. And now I can see here, there is a purchase order that requires my approval. So we're going to drill down into that purchase order. And at this point here, we're now going to review that purchase order. If we need to make any changes, again, we can. And if it looks good, then we'll go ahead and we will approve that purchase order. Okay, now that purchase order's been approved. Now, not only can you add purchase orders, not only can you add purchase quotes, purchase requests in here, requisitions, but you can also run reports. So let's look at our purchase invoices and let's take a look. So when we look at our purchase invoices, then this is going to show us a really good idea. I'm sorry, we want to look at our purchase orders. When we look at our purchase orders, this is going to show us now that our purchase order we just entered has been approved. And not only has it been approved, but you can see there's been a purchase order number that's been assigned to it. And that's excellent. Now there's a little bit of a orange box here. And the reason for that is it looked like when we ran this report, the iDocument service was still running. So let's go ahead and let's view our purchase orders here. And okay, so now we've got this yellow orange box, and that's letting us know that we've got a purchase order, but we haven't gotten the goods receipt yet. So when you talk about the standard business flow, normally what happens is, well, let's go out and let's just find our purchase order first. We'll take it a step at a time. But here's our PO, 1335. This is the PO that we put into iDocuments without a Business One license required. And we approved it, and now this purchase order is sitting inside a Business One. So let's go ahead and let's copy this to a goods receipt. We're going to receive these goods. And keep in mind, I could be doing a goods receipt from the iDocuments control panel as well. Now let's go ahead and let's refresh our purchase order just so we can get a good idea where we're at here. We've got a purchase order, and that purchase order has a goods receipt. We also see an attachment on that purchase order. Now, if we look at that purchase order, the information that we put in, you can see is now attached here as well. So there is a PDF, a copy of what we did also sitting as a PDF attached to this purchase order, which is a pretty neat feature. So let's go ahead and let's cancel out of here. And what we need to do now is we need to send in the invoice. We need the supplier to send us the invoice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an invoice real quick here. Let me just see what our purchase order number was again. This was PO 1335. So what we need is we need an AP invoice to be sent from our supplier for this purchase order. And let's go ahead and do that. Let's send in an AP invoice. All right, so we're going to send this into my iDocuments account. And this is your AP invoice. We'll go ahead and just put some text in here. Thank you for your order. And now we're going to attach our AP invoice 1335. If we look at it, now we can see this is the second time we're sending iDocuments this format of PDF of an AP invoice for our same supplier here, APS. So let's go ahead and let's send that into iDocuments. Now we're going to wait about 60 seconds or so while the OCR engine kicks in and runs. And now what's going to happen, let's go ahead and jump into iDocuments. We're going to log out of the purchase order approver. We're going to log back in as our AP user. Now, what's going to happen here is we should not see another intelligent document pending message come up here. We have one, but that's not for our document, that's for somebody else's. So we should have it pop over here and see a purchase invoice scan. Now I'm going to refresh my dashboard here and we'll keep refreshing. There we go. Now, if iDocuments still ran into some trouble, remember we spent some time training it. If we had missed something in training or couldn't figure something out, then we would see that over here. We could retrain our invoice for that supplier. Now it's fully trained. So let's go into our purchase invoice scan. Let's drill down here. And now what we've got is you can see how it's now remembered where to get everything, where to get all of the details from. It's got all of these over here. It's got the line item, the purchase order tied to it. Again, if we want to, make some adjustments, if I want to change any dates or anything like that, make any adjustments down at the line item here. If I select this line item, then in this case here, I'll probably retrain this again so it'll grab the exempt tax rate. So I can always cause a little more training to take place if I need to. But there's our AP invoice, and we're going to go ahead and submit it. Now it's telling me that this purchase invoice number already exists. So it sounds like this purchase invoice number we did when we sent this in, we sent in the same purchase order invoice number. Let's take a look. 2005, yeah, I think we did. And this is exactly what iDocuments is supposed to do. It is supposed to make sure that we are not doing any double data entry. The last thing you want is that AP invoice to be in there more than once. Okay, so that's it. Now that time to process that AP invoice, if I didn't have to do all of this talking and explaining what I was doing, probably would have taken about 5 seconds compared to the amount of time it takes to put in an AP from start to scratch. So now that we've put that AP invoice in and we saw how it didn't have to be trained that time, we made a couple of adjustments, but again, that's where the machine learning is going to continue to evolve and remember what we're doing with these supplier invoices. And each individual supplier is going to have a different set of machine learning rules applied to their formats. Now, we're making sure that the iDocuments service is running here. We'll give it a couple of more, maybe 60 more seconds. Now let's jump back into SAP. And if we go into AP, let's open up our accounts payable. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the last AP record. And so let's see what's in here. Here is our AP invoice. We see the new vendor reference number. Remember, we have duplicate reference checking turned on, so that's why I had to change that. But here is our AP invoice now. And if we look at the relationship map, There is our three-way match. All right, so now you've seen how iDocuments purchase to AP works. From the very first time you start with a supplier to now how the more invoices you get from that supplier, the more streamlined this gets. Now let's go back into iDocuments for a moment, and we'll just talk about some of the key capabilities. I'm going to log in as an administrator to iDocuments, and I want to just show you, or at least some food for thought. If we go into purchasing, this is where we can, we can add, we can view, add goods receipts. So in our receiving department, we might just have this web form and we're receiving from our suppliers via iDocuments. That's one less SAP license we need to do that. I can add a goods return. I can add a purchase order. I can run purchasing reports. I can view all of my purchase orders. If we view our purchase invoices, right now we don't have anything open, so we're golden there. But the dashboard is also user definable. This is where you can turn things on or off, or you can add additional widgets into your dashboard. So it can pretty much look however you want it to look. There's some good reporting in here as well, some key performance indicators, other things. We could probably spend an hour or two just in iDocuments and what you can do. Now, iDocuments also has a really nice search capability, a document archive. So everything that we've done is available here for an audit or for a lookup. And so I can come in here and I can look for documents within any date range, with a gross minimum to a gross maximum, captured from any date ranges, related to any business partner, received from any business partner, a subject, you name it. You have the ability to really narrow down your search results and then have the ability to go back and look at everything that transacted against your AP invoices. Now, iDocuments is not limited just to purchasing to AP or digesting AP invoices and putting them into Business One. iDocuments also does a great job of the sales order process. So if you get sales orders in a PDF format, iDocuments can put that into Business One as a sales order. If you've got employees that need to field or do expense reports in the field, iDocuments does a great job with that. And so we'll be able to see those two other pieces as separate recordings if you're interested. But this is an overview for iDocuments, PO to AP process. Hopefully you found something useful in this demonstration. And if you need more information, please visit vision33.com. Thank you for watching.